So my fret wire has now come in, and this is medium nickel silver finish. Nickel silver finish, medium size fret wire. And they make some cutters that will cut it flush. Like you can literally put it right on the fret like this. And then see how these cutters have a little bevel on that side? Both of them. At any rate, I've got some of the other ones ordered, but I don't have them in yet. So what I'll do is I pull this down just a hair here, and these things don't cut it very well, very easily. So I put a mark on it, and then I cut it with these Wisses. And that one's a hair too long, but it's okay because I'm going to file them down anyway. And that's the other thing. They make a slide that goes along here so you can slide them all smooth. Now, I did get this little file. And if you look at this file, you can see that it's smooth on this side and has teeth on this side. So that way you're not going to mess your wood up when you're filing around, and you can file those burrs off. So we'll go ahead and cut a few more. That's what I mean. See how hard it is to cut it with these? And that's why I switched to these Wisses. Now, since I don't have the file that slides along the edge, what I started doing before I put it in is I'll go ahead and file it round, file the burrs off, and I can do both sides. Much easier to file up here than it is on the guitar. There you have them. These aren't wanting to go in the slot as easily. A rubber mallet does good because it does not mar the finish. There you can see, now there's 3 in there. And I'll pause here and then put them all in and show you the finished product. So now all the frets are in, and they make a file that slides along the edge like this and does about a 15-degree file on the front edges just to get them all matched up. Now sometimes the thread will pop out and won't stay in, and you can just use some super glue to put it in. That one's not going to stay in. That one needs a bit more filing. He really needs to be shortened some. And that's what I was saying about the cutters with the flush edge. They allow you to get a consistent cut every time. And with me, I'm kind of eyeballing it at this point. Which one was that? Oh well, I'll just tap them all. And then you may also, if you have a dark stain, have to touch that up. As it files down a little lower. So in addition, you can take sandpaper to smooth the edge too. Although I think the file works better. Now, I haven't gotten to the point of putting inlays in for the fret markers, but that is definitely on my list of things to do. They have drill bits that will cut little plugs out. So essentially you get a drill bit that will cut plugs, and then you get a drill bit that'll make a hole for the plug to go in. And then you can put a contrasting color. For instance, I could put this Colonial Maple for my fret markers. So, there you have that. And now, it's time to put the strings on. So I got my strings in from CB Giddy, 044, 034, and an 026. Now, with a piezoelectric, you don't need steel strings, but with an electric pickup, like a humbucker or the $5 Make It Holler, you can get that from MGB in Odessa, Florida. Michael Breedlove. With those, you're going to need steel strings because the way a pickup works is that it's a magnet with a coil around it. And as the magnet moves, it induces voltage into the coil. So then you need steel strings to move that magnet. So you can't use an electric pickup with nylon strings, for instance, like on a ukulele. You'd have to use a piezoelectric. Piezoelectrics, they say, are much more sensitive. or take more movement to make volume. So maybe you need a preamp. Oh, and I didn't show you that I had actually made my bridge too. Because I have one of my frets, or the leftover piece, that was a little bit small. Now, when can you see me there? When I string my guitars, I used to just put the string in the hole, and then I would turn the crank to, and let that just wind it up. But now typically I just go around it like 3 times, and I'm gonna score this right here. So it's 1.75 inches, 1.5 inches. So I'll put a mark at the center, and then I'll put a mark 1/2 inch in. And I would do that, but that marker has given up the ghost. Try that again. Mark, mark, mark. Not real happy with that ruler, so let's try this one out. And this is a centering ruler, so that helps too. And then I have a little triangular file. I'm not good right-handed, so let's switch this around left-handed. Okay, I'm all tangled up. That's all right, that happens. But let's lay that down right here. And then I'm gonna put a mark right in the center. For the center string. And quarter inch in and quarter inch in. Now, something else that has to happen is that I need a screw for my center string, since the tuner is offset. But let's go ahead and get this first one wound. Not really happy with where that mark came out. Apparently I am pretty good right-handed. So, put it on. I wrap it 3 times around. And then, gotta be careful when you shoot it through the hole because it's gonna come out and poke you. Oh, well, that's already bleeding. Now, something else I have to address is that when I do my scarf joint, I make my headstock is the same stock as my neck. So therefore, it is 3/4. Sorry for the blood. No, I don't think they Sharpie. Well, it says that Sharpie writes still. But when I make my headstock, oh, that's what I dropped a little while ago. My bridge. There it is. So I'll pop that in there. And then we have to eyeball to make sure we're at a 25-inch scale length, which is right here.